What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out Lost in the Pond by Lawrence. I only heard these sounds after moving to America. That is the title of the video we are reacting to. Go support this channel as well after watching this one, of course. And guys, if you enjoy this type of content, don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It truly helps out. Without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's get it.
Hello. For some reason I woke up next to a tree this morning, and that reason could be because I couldn't get to sleep in my actual bed because for the first time in as many days it was autumn. And that meant that my bedroom was completely silent. And you might be watching this thinking, I'm really confused right now. And if you are, that you could be British. Because in America, for the most part, your bedroom and most of the rooms in the house, especially in the summertime, are not silent. There's this little thing called white noise. And white noise is this thing that seems to permeate American society in general, and something that Americans tell me that they can't do without when they go to bed. And for me, it's the other way around. You know, in Britain, I grew up with just really quiet, peaceful bedrooms, with the exception of my dad snoring in the next room. I sort of got used to that for 26 years. I got used to this sort of just, I don't know, this general silent ambience. Is that even a thing? And then when I moved to America, bear in mind this was in the winter, so it hadn't yet happened yet, but by the time the summer started to heat up, we were putting on the air conditioning units, right? And of course, famously, we still haven't come around to that idea in the UK. It just became this thing. It sort of happened to me that as soon as I moved here, without realizing it, was falling asleep to white noise. And I think after about a year of that, it sort of clicked that this isn't how things used to be. So in America, every autumn, it takes me right back to me childhood. Briefly, because then the winter turns up and you have to have a fan on in the bedroom because the heating is too hot. It's like a catch-22. But while I was laying there awake at night and before I fell asleep next to this tree, I had some thoughts about some of the other sounds that I commonly hear in the United States that I would never have heard in England. And if you listen carefully, you can probably hear one of those sounds right now. Hear that?
I feel you.
Well, North American bird species, most likely anyway, because in the UK, the bird that you would hear most commonly is a wood pigeon, because it makes that really distinctive sound all across most of Europe, I think. And it just goes, whoop, 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 whoop. I realise I'm making bird sounds in public. Here, you don't really hear that sound very often because wood pigeons aren't native to North America.
Bro, I love this guy. Like, his stories are crazy, man. I really enjoy them.
Instead, you'll hear the sounds of many birds. I mean, here in the Midwest, you've got cardinals, you've got the red-winged blackbird, you've got mourning doves, which of course comprise about 33% of my own family. And so the general bird ambience differs greatly between Britain and the United States. And of course, America, being the giant country that it is, boasts a stupid amount of birds and an amount of stupid birds, but that's every country. And, you know, the noise or the sound, the ambience that they produce differs immensely depending on where you are in the country. So I can only speak for here. I've seen a cardinal sitting outside of my house on a telephone wire dropping a massive but all the time chatting. So if you are the sort of person who's really into birds, which is all English people once they pass the age of 40, then if you move to America, get yourself a bird book. So those things still, I don't know if they exist, but look it up on the internet, which birds are in your local area. And then what about the sound that you hear at a zebra crossing / crosswalk? Again, those differ all throughout the United States. Where I live, you hear things like, the crosswalk sign is on, the crosswalk sign is on, and we get the picture, mate. And I've been to places here where it almost sounds like a machine gun, like, right, which really makes you want to run across the road, so at least it gets its job done efficiently.
True.
But it is mildly terrifying. In Britain, I can't really remember how it goes. It's something like beep, 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 beep. Probably making that up. Producers, can we look up what it sounds like in Britain? Over the last 2 years, one sound that I've heard commonly here in Chicago is my cat, but also tornado sirens. Tornado sirens go off when we're put into a tornado warning, and that's when we have to go down to our
terrifying, like literally.
Our basement, get away from all of the windows, and just sort of stay put until the local authorities tell us that we can leave. In fact, my cat is well drilled in this by now. And you might be thinking, ooh, Lawrence, why are you including tornado sirens and not tornadoes themselves? And the reason is simple, because while tornadoes might be devastating when they do in fact strike, Americans are likely going to hear more tornado sirens in their life than they are tornadoes.
I agree.
And come to that, Britain isn't itself without the odd twister, and I'm not just referring to the sweaty board game. As a matter of fact, England experiences more tornadoes per square mile than any other country on Earth. It's just that none of them are strong enough to feature in films with Helen Hunt. So they very rarely cause fatalities. I promise I am happy about that. This is just my default face. But the tornado siren is most certainly something I'd never heard until I moved to the United States, although that's not entirely true. Because in Britain we do have such sirens, and they were once used for alerting us to air raids, and nowadays to another weather phenomenon, floods. But I can tell you unequivocally that nothing prepared me this year for the moment when I was just standing in a wooded area with my wife, and all of a sudden
Lawrence is really good at making sounds, man. Incredible.
that's not a plane in a heavy wind, that is the siren, just my impersonation of it, you know. And it was deafening. It was deafening. I genuinely thought the Germans were coming until I looked at my calendar, realised it was an invisible watch, and that it wasn't the 1940s.
Oh, shit.
So perspective is everything. I mean, it's always nice when you can just sit there and say, thank goodness it's just a tornado. Anyway, normally when we're hankering down in that shelter, otherwise known as the basement, you do find yourself morbidly listening out for that whoosh sound, right? Or at least I do. But most of the time, all you're left with is crickets. Not literally, that would be weird. Although it does bring me on to another point, crickets. I'm not talking about the sport. Of course, we hear that all the time in the English summer, not so much here. But crickets, the insect.
Yeah, these are awful, bro. Like, seriously.
I've talked about these before, of course. The sound that they make is very prominent on this side of the ocean. In Britain, we don't have that ambience, and it's a blooming shame, because it's a very relaxing sound. I've never really articulated that before. I've talked about crickets on this channel in the past, but it is. It's a sound that I can actually sit there in the park listening to crickets, which is weird because this is insects mating, or at least sending out a mating call. And I'm there casually listening in on it. Imagine if it was humans and I was doing that. It seems like we have alternative rules when it comes to other members of the animal kingdom. I'm not complaining, don't get me wrong. I don't want to do that to humans who should keep themselves to themselves. So those are just some of the sounds that I thought of when I woke up next to that tree this morning. And Mum, if you are watching, I didn't really wake up next to a tree. It's just for the narrative of this video. It's a weird narrative. That's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments below some of the sounds that you hear on a daily basis that you don't think other people will hear in other parts of the world. I'm Lawrence Brown. You can follow me on Twitter at LostInThePondUS, and don't forget to subscribe to...
Okay, so let me know, guys, what sounds do you hear? To be honest, the sound that I hear, maybe when I wake up or during the day, like, you know, like just chilling at home during the day, I hear dogs barking, bro. And that is just a pain in the ass, bro. Like, seriously, you don't want to listen to dogs barking, you know? You just want to sit and relax, but you have them just barking all the time. That is not nice. Well, let me know what sounds you guys hear, and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you can get notified, well, turn on the notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload. Thank you so much. Peace out.